Good afternoon, my dear brothers and sisters, here on Mother Earth. It is a pleasure to be able to come to the radio program with a wonderful panel, Barbara Three Crow, Tracy Kennedy, and Two Dog. And Tracy will give you the number if you want to phone in and be a part of the panel, or if you want to ask any questions, because this is going to be a very important day today. It's going to set the stage in regards to our ancient teachings as indigenous people. Whether you're red, yellow, black, or white, is that we are spiritual beings having a physical life here on Earth, Mother Earth. So with that in mind, I would like to first of all bring you greetings from the Creator, a loving Creator, to the four directions, north, east, south, and west. And also for the four gatekeepers, wherever you may be here on Mother Earth. And also greetings from the Cree Nation up here in the corporate country of Canada, in the corporate province of Saskatchewan, and in the prisoner of war camp, what we call Atakaku Preserve 104. So, and also greetings specifically from my own immediate family, and I send greetings to all of you in the energy of love and light. So with that being said, let us begin this discussion for this time period in time and space, matter, energy, and the intelligence designer. Those five, it reminds me so much of a pentagram or a pentagon, and it also reminds me of a five-pointed star. But in regards to what I've just said, man-made. In the Creator is just a Creator. God is. So over through time immemorial, let me begin this discussion with the rebellion against the loving Creator. When the loving Creator Father, the Creator Mother, and the Creator Son, the thought, word, and deed, what we think, what we speak, and what we do, is in essence resonating within DNA and quantum physics, quantum mechanics. All the subjects that man has taught, and when they have taught this, let's define one thing: God is. We all know the statement that the loving Creator and all His creation is all that there is, and everything else is an illusion. At the beginning, in the rebellion against the Creator, the most beautiful spiritual being that God created was a cherubim, the covering cherub. His name was Lucifer. When there was a heavenly council, the Divine Father, the Divine Mother, and their Divine Son created the spiritual beings. And when he had a meeting with all the spiritual beings that he had created, and there's 9 divisions of spiritual beings, which is significant all in itself, which is the magic square of 3. When I'm talking about the magic square, that every line diagonally was equal to the same in the other line, and also vertically, which conforms to a magic square or sacred geometry. We talk about the 5 platonic solids in the mind of the Creator. Now, can you imagine just for a moment, in time immemorial, we don't know how much time go back, when the father, the mother, and their son talked amongst each other? The first thing that they created was spiritual beings, these 9 divisions of spiritual beings. When they had a heavenly council, the Creator Father specifically said to them, the spiritual beings, in earth, wind, water, and fire, in the animals, the birds, the sea creatures, the plants and trees, the insects and the reptiles that He's going to make in the future. But in essence, at the beginning of time, they already decided the duty and responsibility that He was going to give all the spiritual beings, the 9 division spiritual beings. And when the Creator Father got up and spoke, and He says, when I make my own children, I want you to bow down to them and pay homage. The reason why I created you was to prepare for my children, and I'm going to teach my children how to become more like us. So, upon hearing that, Lucifer became very perturbed and disturbed at the statement that the Creator Father made. He approached the Creator and says, how dare you? How dare you create a mere human being and endow it with so much when you classify them as your children? There is no way that I will bow down to an inferior being like myself. Look at the way that you created me. And he was created with gems, diamonds, gold, silver. He had 9 precious stones on his breastplate. The Creator Father created him to be the covering cherub. And as a result, he was supposed to gather all the spiritual beings together at a specific point in time to come to the holy mountain of God to worship the Creator Father, the Creator Mother, and the Creator Son. So, that did not happen. Lucifer, like I said, had led all the spiritual beings to worship the Creator, but upon hearing this, he rebelled. And in that rebellious attitude, filled up with pride, his ego, decided to fight against. The Creator kicked him out, and all these things are recorded in the ancient books of all indigenous people, including the Bible. So, that began the story of rebellion in heaven. The Creator banished him from the holy mountain. Lucifer convinced a third of the angels to join him in rebellion against the Creator. And that began evil. So everything now, all the fallen Lucifer, all the fallen angels, all the spiritual forces of darkness and evil, all sickness, devils, and demons, all evil spirits of infirmity, rebelled against the Creator. They cannot create anything, only take what God has made and destroy it, to steal it and to kill it. Now, Lucifer and his third of the angels came and destroyed earth and the stones of fire, which is in reference, I suppose, to the planets. So, in regards to this now, when you look at the first book of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, the Creator, or God, created heaven and the earth. Only two, heaven and earth. And He put the spiritual beings accordingly to the job and the duty and responsibility to carry out in the future development of Mother Earth. So now, Lucifer and all the fallen angels came and destroyed planet Mother Earth, as reference to the second verse, and the earth was without form and void. Wrong translation. It says in the original translation, the earth became. So it became with the destruction. And that is the first ice age on earth. And when the ice melted, the whole earth was covered with water. Now, I want to get one thing straight. We have been taught in their indoctrination centers, in their educational system, and we were led to believe that the earth is a marble or a ball. That is completely false. No, the earth is not a ball or a marble in the sky. The earth is flat. Can you imagine and conceive in your mind that the earth is flat, so that means from here to Guelph, Ontario is flat? And from Guelph to New York it's flat? And from New York to Kentucky it's flat? There's no curvature, there's no. Now, the dark side, Lucifer and of all fallen angels, they started an educational system, and they have developed the Big Bang Theory in order for them to accommodate the solar system, where we, 9 planets, or whatever, how many planets there were, revolved around the sun, which is completely false again, because the ancient teachings does not indicate that, because we were told by the ancient teachings that the earth was flat. This new educational system came in 2,000 years ago at a specific period in time to introduce the false religion. So in order for them to accommodate the Big Bang Theory, like the solar system, where everything revolves around the sun, and also to the theory of evolution, that we evolve from a primordial sludge, where billions and billions of years we developed into, as time went on, into. And it's all in their books. It's what we've been taught in the educational system. Charles Darwin, it has been found out that Charles Darwin was tutored by Lucifer himself to write the book, The Origin of Species, to accommodate the theory of evolution. Their science and their mathematics whatever subject matter that you can conceive of, when you separate yourself from the Creator, you develop your own brand of knowledge that you acquire from someone or something. And in this case, we all know that the fallen angels have definitely been given the false knowledge of all these lies that they have perpetuated to all indigenous people, whether we are red, yellow, black, or white, into our prospective land, animals, birds, sea creatures, plants and trees, insects and reptiles that the Creator has blessed us with. We became stewards to this, carrying out the instruction. The instructions of the people, the elders in particular, the clan mothers. The clan mothers got their teachings from the Divine Mother, a very holy and sacred woman. Her love is so great that love that she has can melt a stony heart. So with that in mind, now that I've identified these things, that statement, God is, they separated themselves from the truth to develop their own science through the auspices of the fallen angels. So they took creation and they studied something like a wolf. They know the final product of it, but they used reverse engineering. They go back into time to its creation. And that creation, of course, we all know that everything in creation was thought of in the mind of the Creator Father. So God is. So ladies and gentlemen, dear panel members, brothers and sisters, we are at a pivotal point, a crossroads, in November, in the month of the Sagittarius, Cree, shooting an arrow. What is the significance behind those very statements that I have made in the deeper teachings and the truth of our people? Things we had before, the dark side, the evil cabal, was established with Lucifer and the fallen angels fooling around with genetics to create a race of people. And the only race of people that they could use on a genetic level are the white people. Why the white people? Because of melanin. The more melanin that you produce, the darker your skin is. The most melanin that people possess is the black brothers and sisters. Under that is the red brothers and sisters. And under that is the yellow brothers and sisters. And below that is the white brothers and sisters. No disrespect intended, please don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is the Lucifer and all the fallen angels use that information for their own diabolical reasons to create an agenda that we are in the midst of right at this point in time. Without the further understanding of our ancient teachings, and all these teachings that are recorded This is where the Bible came from. Does the Bible support tribal custom and usage? Does it support our indigenous teachings? Yes, it does. It depends on who is using that book. But look at the word pulpit. Isn't that word very significant in what this word is going to be taught? The Bible. The word pulpit is to pull people into the pit. But anyway, that's just a side note. Learning to understand the words and its meaning, there you will find the spirit and energy behind it. Look at our English language, a bastard mongrel language, made up of many different languages to form. The question is, who created this language? And you could surmise and make an assessment of it and assume. And I assume, yes. With the fallen angels and their genetic experiments on human beings. Yes, they created a race of people, what we call the white race. And it is in this white race that all the spiritual forces of darkness and evil is concentrated on. By eating from the tree of knowledge and good and evil, duality, in using the Hegelian dialectic, thesis, antithesis equals synthesis, create a problem, reaction, solution, pitting two people against each other, creating a controversy. This whole system is geared this way, and it hits home. So now, this is an overview, a quick overview, a synopsis of a beginning statement, a premise to this discussion that we're going to carry out in this radio program. We know for a fact that there are two sides. There's a spiritual side of light and a spiritual side of darkness and evil. We who are indigenous people, children of the Creator, follow the instructions of the Creator, where the dark side is going to destroy our people, and we see results of this even on the news. We cannot run away from it. Our eyes see it, our ears hear, we feel the energy around, and it hits home. So what do we do in regards to this? This is this discussion. Now, before I pass the talking stick, I want to make one mention. I will not discuss it in depth, but just to give you what we call, or people that understand this statement, we call the juice of anointing. Joseph was a son of Jacob. Jacob got name turned to Israel. His favorite son, Joseph. Joseph's mother was Rachel, the one that Jacob loved. You could read about this in the Bible. But anyway, Joseph was hated by his 10 brothers. He had a younger brother, Benjamin. So Jacob loved his son Joseph and made him a coat of many colors, which is a collage, I suppose, of all the different kinds of people on earth. But God's favor was on Joseph. His brothers hated him and sold him into slavery. To make the long story short, when Joseph got sold to slavery, because of a dream that the Pharaoh had. Now pay attention to this, which is very important to our understanding of this day and age in our time. The Pharaoh dreamt. So Joseph interpreted that dream and says, Pharaoh, you dreamt of 7 fatted cows and 7 lean cows. The 7, of course, the 7 fatted cows means that he's going to have bumper crops and everything. Because of what Joseph told Pharaoh, he got promoted just below the Pharaoh, his right-hand man, so to speak. So the Pharaoh appointed Joseph to be the prime minister. That's very reminiscent to Canada, isn't it? So now, the prime minister, Joseph, in the bumper crops made granaries, storehouses, warehouses full of produce, waiting for the time for the 7 lean cows, starving cows, 7 years of famine. This, in essence, is exactly the point that I want to bring to your attention. Are we going to enter into 7 years of plenty? In regards to what they're planning in a New World agenda? Think about what I'm going to say. The people who are in these secret societies that worship Lucifer as their god. You all studied and looked in the internet, Google this, and YouTube. You get a lot of information regarding this. But anyway, these people are bent to carry the out agenda. Justin Trudeau inherited his father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Pierre Elliott Trudeau wrote a book called the 69 White Paper Policy, and the policy regarding the white paper. In essence, what he told the Indian people, in effect, was, I'm going to put a whole bunch of money, get the bank to print a whole bunch of money, and he's going to call this money Vote 15 money. And he says to the Indian people, if you take this Vote 15 money, the law that is attached to it is going to end up destroying you as a nation. And that is the policy of every successful Prime Minister and Government of Canada. The laws that are tied to this. Here we have corporate chiefs and council because of the Indian Act that they created in 1868. After the introduction of the B&E Act in 1867. Canada did not participate in making it, but it was standing orders from the imperial government in London, England, to create a province here, or a corporation here in Canada. There began the very prophecies being fulfilled that our people said was going to happen. They knew, they warned us, we were going to walk in the period of darkness for a certain length of time. and we are in that darkness. But the light is coming. We have been walking in this tunnel of darkness. Now we're going to go into the light. People are being touched all over the world. Many men, women, and children are seeing visions, dreams about many different things that prove to the point that our ancient people in the Bible talked about the kingdom of the Creator. The 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of the skinny cows, which begins the 7 years of tribulation. I guess in time we will see exactly what they intend to do in their politics. Trudeau met with the Queen. What did they discuss? Queen Elizabeth II, the House of Windsor, and their forefathers from Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria married a prince, Albert. His last name was Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, from Germany. Queen Elizabeth II is not British. She is German. This is something that our elders knew because they were told in visions. They were told in ceremony, and so on and so forth. Now we come to the point about, I'm going to pass the talking stick to Tracy, so Tracy can bring us up to date to everything that is transpiring. So go ahead, Tracy.
Thank you very much, Gerald. And I would like to say somebody has called in. He's the one coughing in our ear. So,
Okay.
Who are you and where are you calling from?
I must be the one who's talking there. I was coughing, but I don't know how to mute it.
Well, just cover the mouthpiece.
Okay.
Oh, that's Sydney.
Oh, hi,
Yeah.
Sydney. Okay.
Hi.
So I just wanted to introduce you. I didn't want to interrupt, Gerald. So
Okay.
Sydney called.
So go ahead, Tracy.
Okay, so the update on what's going on. Wow. Okay, first, we've had an incredible series of events. CERN did reach its peta level, highest amount of energy ever used on this planet. When it did that, also had to do with the strange Pepsi commercial I was telling you about last week, Gerald, that talked about the return of the ancient God. It was talked about specifically the Dark Knight. That if a sign was shown on the full moon, that he would return. The Dark Knight is, of course, this Lucifer that Gerald speaks of, the Angel of Death, whatever you want to call him. The sign was when CERN hit that thing. It's funny that they named this particle PEV. So it's the Chi-Rho sign. It's the P. It's the galactic crossing. So a couple million people have watched this video. Know that, first of all, it's not a commercial. Why Pepsi came out with this makes no sense, other than if you read the ingredients in Pepsi, it's completely toxic. It will kill you. We had yet again another completely false flag, which I was talking about earlier, but it had to do with another mass killing, which, America is taking the lead of this lately. We had the event on Friday, Black Friday, which is such a defilement And for the ones who do believe in the Christ and the cross and the P, which we just apparently hit, remember that the crucifixion, that P sign, was the original Black Friday. For the darkness fell on the whole land. This is the story. Has to do with the 3 days of darkness too. Now, interesting but not surprisingly, Black Friday is used to describe a day that has become the most unabashed display of idolatry ever, following a day of gratitude, supposedly, allegedly, past Thanksgiving. Now, over the span of my short existence, I've watched this day morph into something horrific, moronic, a showing of self-indulgence where grown men and women beat up little kids, press against locked doors, waiting to stampede one another, quite literally, so as not to miss saving money on an inanimate object that they don't need. So, United States, which I've talked about before, is in its 239th year. The number of days between Good Friday and Black Friday is 239 days. This is not a common occurrence. Each year these days vary greatly. Now, in 2017, these 2 days are 225 days apart. So 239 is how most of the world would write 9/23 or September 23, which we've talked about before. Now, I've talked about this in relationship to Revelation 12, which is to take place 9/23/2017. Black Friday this year is 666 days from 9/23/17, and the Revelation 12 sign, which I don't want to take too much time and go into. So, this information, these things, these horrific events that are being played out right in front of our eyes, because there's a whole lot of darkness going on. And there's black, and then there's black. There's the darkness which is nurturing, warming. This is our mother. This is the womb. This is the triple darkness from which we're born. But even college and professional sports teams now are having all black uniforms, which isn't their team colors. So I want you to think about this for a moment. And I mean really, really think, because I speak about these things from experience as the world and material possessions have at least once gripped my soul. There is something that stands out from Christmas. I don't mind it so much. Christmas, you want to celebrate. We've celebrated this time of the galactic crossing in every culture all over. But one specific day where self-indulgence is glorified, this Black Friday, is an outward celebration of an unrestrained appetite. Do what thou wilt. Consumerism. It's the Khan, it's the King, it's the Cain, it's the Cohen, it's the Queen. This is why we have a black Jesuit who in the background is working for the kings. These are really the two opposing forces. They've always worked together. We need to become the bridge. We do have, this is an attack on the very temple of our soul. So, what is being embraced here, especially in the United States, which just topped killings of each other pretty much of any killings that are going on in the world right now. They're just beating themselves. We must realize that capitalism and this porcelain mask they are wearing, they cannot see through their own faces. And it's not a coincidence that it bears this name. The concept of Black Friday are all the very things that the story of the Savior, which is repeated all over the world, but that was hung on a cross. The idolatry is a theme here. It's a prophetic message seen in our current events. So, if we have been crucified with Christ, because I'm thinking that's what it's showing us. The desires of this new world order, which is already here. It's not coming. It's right here in our faces. This is the cross. This is the thing that we were warned against. And it just happened. So I'll leave it at that, unless Gerald wants me to go into it at another time. But thank you very much, Gerald.
Indeed, that's a good introduction, Tracy. I thank you so much for that. And the information that we're talking about is very critical, because we have to come to our own human understanding, because it's going to affect us one way or the other in our own lives. Our families are going to be, and so with that, I'm going to pass the talking stick to Barbara. So, in regards to sound, vibration, and frequency, I want all of you who are listening to make reference to this in YouTube and Google this. Is 528 hertz. Is in regards to the frequency that enables us to connect to the Creator. The fact of the matter is, the reason why I'm speaking about this is because our people knew about this. How did they know? Because we were told by the Creator. The people who were close to the Creator in honor and respect Mother Earth. Earth, wind, water, and fire. Animals, birds, sea creatures, plants and trees, insects and reptiles. We all know. As we say, when we are Indian, it's all my relation. All these things that I'm talking about was created for us, for our use, when we connect to the frequency. It is indicative and it also imperative to understand that the number one issue is spirituality. So I want to pass the talking stick to Barbara, and I want her to expound on it, coming from a heart of a woman. So go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you, Gerald, and everyone on the panel. As always, it's really good to be here with you. And, well, we've been talking about the crucial state of affairs that we have been pushed towards, manipulated towards, for sure. And I feel that this is the time that we have to empower ourselves in order to survive what this cabal is doing to us. And I believe that spirituality is one of the most essential powers that we need to develop. It's hard to define spirituality because it is a very personal experience. It's between ourselves and Creator. But one thing that it is not organized, meaning it is something that is not dictated to us by others, and it is not something to be found in a book. That's for sure. This is a personal journey. It's about our own becoming enlightened, our own growth at this time, our spiritual growth. Something that is not, we're not told how to pray, or we're not told that only through others can we be forgiven, or only through others that can we reach God, Creator, Great Spirit. And we know that that disempowers us. So we are in a great time of change, for sure. But this is the time of prophecy that we're living. And without our developing our spirituality, we're going to remain weak, and we're going to remain vulnerable to the deliberate assault upon what is rightfully ours. We will continue to believe that we are powerless, and we will believe that everything is hopeless. Our spiritual self, or spirituality, it's heart-centered. It is our relationship with our Creator, who is the source of all creation. And this is a crucial time that we are to return to the original ways of our ancestors who lived according to Creator's law of one. And I believe that that was an understanding that spirit embodied within us is one with its source, which is the Creator, Mother, Father. And no one stands between us and our Creator. But there have been centuries of religious dogma, we know, that has deliberately worked to prevent us from knowing who we are and what is rightfully given to us. To know that we are sacred children. To know that a spirit is embodied within each of us. And this spirit is a divine frequency, as you're talking about frequency, because we have to really understand energy. We have to understand frequency. Creator, Mother, Father, or that essence is a high frequency, a divine frequency. But that is something that is within each one of us, within that spirit embodied inside of us. And we have been told that everything is separate, that people and animals and nature are separate. But we have to understand that creation, all of creation, comprises of one divine frequency. And in my understanding, I feel and believe that the frequency of unconditional love and joy was manifested during creation. And why I say that is because if you look around at all the beauty of the mother, the beauty of the creatures and all of life, of course excluding the deliberate nightmare, but that everything originally was created out of love, unconditional love and joy. Just if you look at little babies, you can see how beautiful and sacred they are. Spirituality is far removed from religion. It's a way of living, a way of being. It gives us our own power. But most importantly, our spiritual strength to survive the changes and the challenges that we are now experiencing. And we do say that these are deliberate. So we are being deliberately assaulted, deliberately manipulated and brainwashed to be in fear, to be in terror, to be separate. Understanding spirituality is living every day as a prayer, being consciously aware of yourself upon the Mother Earth, that all of life has a spirit. Spirituality is between ourselves and our Creator, and it's a way of consciousness, being aware of our relationship with all of creation. And it's a way to pray or communicate from our heart. Not the way that somebody else dictates how a prayer should be spoken. And it's being consciously aware and awake to know that every day that we are in the presence of Creator. It's respect for all of life. It's being compassionate. And to know that we are all related, that we are one big family, black, red, yellow, and white. That they are deliberately, say the cabal, the elite, are deliberately manipulating us to kill each other, to hate each other. And that's why our understanding of the spirit that is embodied within us is so crucial, because it will empower us and bring us into a higher frequency. If you understand that we are in a time of prophecy of the fifth world, that we're leaving the fourth world of chaos, which is a lower frequency, and they're still ramping up that chaos, by the way, and they're really working hard to keep us in that lower frequency through fear. So, if you understand that we are in the time of prophecy of the new world, which is called the 1,000 years of peace, or the fifth world, and if you understand frequency, in order to move or transition into this new time, the new paradigm, you have to understand frequency. You have to align yourself with the frequency of that. What is the time of peace? What is the time of compassion? The frequency of compassion, the frequency of love, the frequency of being in service to help each other, the frequency of unity. So there's two things we're looking at: the frequency of violence and greed, hatred, prejudice, and so on, and the frequency of love and compassion and peace. And here we are, right, standing in the middle. And we have two choices, and Creator gave us free will. And so free will to choose which pathway. So that's just a little bit of describing how essential spirituality is, and the spirit embodied within us. That the spirit embodied within us is one with Creator, our Creator, and it is the same frequency. But as a human, we have ego, we have our earthbound experience here, we have situations, circumstances happening, but yet within us is a divine essence or a spirit of high frequency. So get to know that spirit within yourself, understand spirituality, and understand the opposing factor to this, what it is that's manipulating you out of that divine frequency or sacred frequency, which is that unconditional love. And we create our own reality. So this is where we are today, understanding this is I guess you'd say we are moving either into a time of enlightenment to understand who we really truly are, or we are going to stay behind in the lower frequencies of violence and hatred and prejudices. So that's all I want to say right now about this. Thank you. Ilamaya.
Thank you, Tracy and Barbara, indeed. The information that we're talking about that comes from our heart and our mind, in our very being, is an explanation of the type of people that we are, in definition of the spiritual being that we we're created to be. Before I pass the talking stick on to Sydney, so get ready, Sydney, I'd like to mention the 5 again. Time, space, matter, energy, and an intelligent designer. How does a person using human knowledge describe or explain something that they do not know? Something needs to happen within ourselves to be able to grasp onto that unconditional love that Barbara is talking about. She talked about the ego. The ego is the left side of the brain. Linear thinking, rationality. The educational system is geared towards that, and everything in government. If you define the word government, means mind control. So the government of the United States, mind control. The government of Canada, mind control. To manipulate these 5 things I mentioned before: time, space, matter, energy, and the intelligent designer. They created the ego in government, religion, economy, education, for their destiny, which spells the greed principle. Greed, not being able to be full, always searching for the truth, but never acquiring it. So this ego that they have developed, they have destroyed from conception. And when we got introduced to the educational system and indoctrination centers, to destroy our self, our inner self, our true self, that the way that we were created to be. In developing propaganda, Bernays, his uncle was Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud, in his attempt to explain exactly the problem that man and woman is encountering, is because of sexuality. The problems created out of sexuality, whether you get or don't get. Manipulating that very force of the power of the woman to suppress her, oppress her, to get control of her mind so that they could utilize the body, so that the body of a woman's body becomes a portal in order for these dimensional beings to come through. This is the teachings of the dark side. The 6 laws that they have created in destroying our true selves is: number 1, deficiency of a need. We need something in this world. In the ancient ways, our people definitely define that in living in this creation. It was so bountiful that when they came here, they called this the Garden of Eden, and all the riches that it contained. To be able to get a cup in any lake or river and drink it, it was so pure. Everything was plentiful. The dark, evil cabal that entered, it means resources potentially for economic reasons. So, you know what the score is in regards to that. So that began with the treaty process, deficiency of a need. In order to destroy us as a people, kill the Indian, but save the man. Their whole policy revolving around that, creating the boarding schools of the United States, the residential schools here, by setting up a church in every reserve, and so on and so forth, the Indian agent, and so on and so forth. You know the story. There's no need for me. You all each have your own story to tell, whether you're living in an urban setting, whether you're living in a country or on a reserve, be as it may. Number one, deficiency of a deed. Number two, cause and effect, which is the law of karma. What caused this deficiency of a need? An outside force working against us, and this force of what Barbara and Tracy talked about, so that we can acquire those type of information within ourselves by creating trauma and their programs running through our minds. Brainwashing and mind control. They have the implements of war and destruction, and they have the police. They have the police out there to be able to protect them. So we're labeled as terrorists. So after cause and effect, divide and conquer. And they sure did that, didn't they, in every indigenous country in the world. They went into their, set up their satanic bloodline using the army and implements of war destruction weapons. They became the rulers. And you all know the story of that. Number four, in divide and conquer, power and control. They have the power now, they can control people. And they have been doing that through money, budget, the banks. We cannot live without money, or so they led us to believe. So their energy of fear in regards to this power and control. So now that they have the power and the control, they can try the next one, which is number 5, trial and error. In forming the United States government, it's an experiment, it's a trial. Same with Canada. Developing human government, secular government. Let us put it through a trial, and we're going to make errors. So the number 6, supply and demand. We all know the story of how they introduce drugs by creating a problem. Reaction to solution is they introduce drugs. Because of these 6 laws that I just outlined, we all know how drug dealers operate. They'll give freebies to children in their rebellious attitude because of the home situation, because they live in a very dysfunctional family. They cannot find the true love that they got, that we're all missing, that Barbara talks about, that unconditional love. In this world, it is conditional love. You do this for me and I will love you. There is that aspect of it by putting incentives. We all know what it entails. Tracy talked about Black Friday. And the people go so crazy when they enter to the stores, people fighting against products, people rushing, developing that herd attitude. So with these 6 things that I just outlined, and also with the other 5, now comes the part where Barbara is saying we have to make a choice. What do we do? The next speaker, and I will give the talking stick to, is Sydney. So go ahead, Sydney.
Yeah, before I begin, Gerald, the world is round like your head. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I went to Conklin last week. I drove a young man to Conklin to go to work. And he left his family, young wife, couple of kids, to go to work in Conklin. And from where I live to Conklin, it's about 400 or 500 kilometers. And it took off in the afternoon, arrived there, and he was telling me about the what they did and what's going on in Conklin. When we arrived there were about 4 or 5 different sites, and every site was just like kind of like a correctional facility, if you will, or a pen. And every one of those are you come to that site, it's just like going to a correctional facility. And you have to follow laws, you have to follow rules when you enter that site. And the other people, even though they're neighbors, they're only about a half a mile across from different sites, and maybe a mile apart. But there are about 4 sites that I've seen, and every one of those sites had 300 people. And every one of those sites, they were just like ants. People were like ants swarming. But they didn't stop to say hi. They didn't stop to shake hands or share. They were just moving. Every one of those people there left their homes, and every one of those different dates, different time slots, not long enough to get to know one another from different communities. They're just like robots. All those people there were just like robots. And maybe you get to know 1 or 2, but that's about it. 7 days in, maybe 10 days, 21 days. You come out for 4 days, go back another 7 days, or 21 days. You follow the rules, wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, go to work, come back, go to bed. No, just work. No, and I didn't see no elders there. I didn't see no old ones, no babies. All I seen was people, the 18 to roughly 50s, 55 at the most. Very few elders, cleaning people, security people. And a lot of these people were all there just to do their time, then come home, be with their families for a brief time, settle their bills, and get the families ready, go back. And now I'm going to bring it home. After seeing that, these different sites, and it's all over Alberta. Most of Alberta is covered with these sites. Fort McMurray, all the way to east, the boundaries. The northern half of Alberta is filled with these sites. And they're all robots, from 18 to 55, all working. And when you talk about Agenda 21, you talk about natural resources as your well, how do I begin? Human beings are natural resources now in Agenda 21, One World Order, that if you can't work, you're no use to society. You'll be eliminated. But if you can work, there's no time for play, no time for socializing. You just go out there and work like a robot. And everybody's like that. From the time, I don't know what age you can start. Right now it's 18. If you can get tickets and everything, you can work earlier. But we've had a meeting last week in Prince Albert. I sat with this man that passed away yesterday, Norman Bonneau. And we sat with Ken Crow, we sat with a whole bunch of guys, and after the discussions, people were phoning me, asking me my opinion on what was going on. The treaties, are they valid? Are this corporate law, corporation that's happening, is it? And I told them I couldn't answer most of your questions because it's... Can I hear you? Okay.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, this corporation that's running the world, I told them it's all documented, it's all paperwork. So, I told them way back, my ancestors, my elders, they used to tell us not to bother paperwork, documentations. My dad, late dad, hated writing stuff. He hated books. Even though he was in a residential school for 8 years. And he used to, when he got home, he never did like working for companies. He always wanted to work for farms and cheap labor. I couldn't understand it till now, recently, when he was teaching us, when he taught us. He hated documentation, and this is what I had to tell my friends, the people that going into this, trying to understand this corporation, that you're supposed to stay away from any documentation. Be careful what you write, be careful what you sign, know what you're signing, and you have to be very careful what you sign. Because you might be signing away your will, and we don't know what we're all signing. But a lot of this stuff that's happening now is just like, it's happening fast and quick. You have no time to think. It's coming fast. And everybody's moving, trying to understand what's happening. And there's people that are like zombies right now that don't know what's going on. But they'll have to see sooner or later what's going on. They're going to have to open their eyes. But that's about the only thing I can contribute, because I'm seeing a lot of things happening at home here and abroad. You can't go anywhere without not seeing it. Talking about spirituality, you know instantly. I know a lot of times what I'm not supposed to be doing. You get to know the enemy. All you have to do is go back to creation. What happened with the Lucifer story you were talking about, what he did. And ever since then, when he broke the law, he started rebelling. He started doing, trying to manipulate mankind, introducing all kinds of ways to manipulate man. And one of his, right now, is education. And this is a lot of times it's very, what do you do? Do you send your kids to school to learn how to be robots? And what time can you share with them spirituality? Is there going to be room down the road, 10, 15 years down the road, to teach your children spirituality, if this is going to be what's happening? But I have my hopes as well, not just this gloom and doom. I do believe that the age of Aquarius is here, and by keeping my wits together and trying to hang on and see how it's going to turn out, there's going to be somebody out there to tell us. Somebody's out there, and I've been waiting for this, the message that's going to happen. So that's about it I can say, Gerald. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Sydney. Indeed, those things that you're talking about is something that we must ponder. And when it hits home, definitely, it's affecting us one way or the other. And the question that I've always asked is, what do we do? So I'm going to pass the talking stick, if I may, to Two Dog. And so go ahead, Two Dog.
You know, within the systems that everyone is talking about, what I'm seeing is, you take biblically what they've actually told me biblically, as far as go forth and tame the wilderness. They actually told me that Indian people were so close to nature that we had to be tamed as well. As far as there's your boarding school here in America, there's your residential schools in Kanakota, and it goes against a lot of our teachings as a people. Basically being told that we weren't human until 1934. It's actually been told to me. The fact of the matter is, the way we are is, we should be as the human, is to understand that we are the same as nature. Matter of fact, I had nature teach me a tool. Had a teaching tool out here. Because I live out here, I have a lot of chickens, roosters, and other things like that. And I had ravens that a raven landed in the tree. And I can go with it like this. The respect of nature to where humans are not respecting each other, as far as black, white, yellow, red. And I can say it like this. Our rooster was standing there, looked up into the tree. There's a male raven standing there, big black male raven. And the raven bowed to the rooster, and I saw the rooster bow back. I heard the rooster say something, the raven caw, said something back. And here come a hawk. And before you knew it, the ravens were protecting the rooster in far as the chicken flock. So animals are protecting each other where we do not protect each other. The way I see it is, if we're not careful with all the dominated war mentality, patriarchal societies, and don't take care of each other as far as unity, we may end up with all this war metabolism that they're coming. It may go back that we go back to nature and tribe up all around the world. If you understand where I'm going, Gerald.
Yep. Yes.
So there's the big malfunction. Just as me as Westmoreland Napi, let's say it like that, to have the heart, let's say it like this, to stick their hands out to each other as another human being and say, this what we see now with this, I agree with Sydney, where you leave your home, you work 10, 12 hours, you come home, you go to bed, you get up, you go back out. It's a slave metabolism, Gerald.
Yep, indeed.
So I pass the talking stick back to you.
Indeed. Tracy, Barbara, Sydney, and Two Dog. Wonderful words that they have conveyed to us. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty and bring things into perspective. We know that there's an intelligent designer, because what I said before, what human knowledge do we need to be able to explain something that our eyes see, that our ears hear, that our nose smell, and our tongues taste, and we feel. But the question that I always like asking people, I'll ask the panel now. Where were you 100 years ago before you existed in this physical body that you have now, that was blessed from our father and mother? The very things that we inherited from our father and mother, going all the way back into time, the DNA, the original story of the DNA that the Creator, Father, and Mother made to create man and woman, to have children. That is something that needs to be asked, that needs something to be answered. But how can we answer the question? We cannot. It is because of the intelligent designer that he will not reveal that information to people that he doesn't trust. And in regards to this, Lucifer and the fallen angels, all the spiritual forces of darkness and evil, all spiritual devils and demons, all evil spirits of infirmity, to create an imbalance. The question is why? Why do they want to do this? They have no empathy. They have no feelings. They're cold-blooded. What's flowing in their veins is blood that is cold. They have a cold heart. They have no spiritual light in them. And when we're talking about spiritual light and the things of the Creator, they cannot comprehend what we are saying. Because the New World agenda that's being led by the fallen Lucifer and all the fallen angels is definitely creating their own agenda to develop a one world order, one world government, one world religion, one world army, one world economy, and so on and so forth, being controlled by them. Now you take Israel, for example. When Harper was the Prime Minister, he had, in one of his news flashes, he said, in essence, if any of you attack Israel, it says, I will use the full extent of the law to punish you. Now comes the part, where is the central local point of all these things that is generated? Now, it's centered in the land of Israel. The dark side wants to control it, and the dark side is controlling Israel right now because the people who are running Israel are not true Jews. They're Khazarians from the Caucasus Mountains who say they are Jews but lie, but are a synagogue of Satan. The synagogue of Satan that occupy the land of Israel are the bully, and they tell the United States what to do. And the United States is tied politically as well as many other aspects of it. And yes, United States have given Israel everything that it needs to fight against their enemies, and they're being surrounded by enemies as we speak. The people that are occupying these different governments in their countries, they know that these people do not belong in Israel. They know Bible prophecy. They want to get rid of these people. The people like Netanyahu and Obama, Pope Francis. In their politics, yes, they support this regime that is geared towards one world government. It's coming. We're in our midst. Sidney talked about when he drove that young man to Conklin. It's like a concentration camp. In actual reality, it's developed into a FEMA camp, isn't it?
Oh.
Oh, yes, there are plans right now that they're implementing in Canada, in our own reserve, is being controlled by corrupt officials in the Chief of Council who just love their titles and positions and the money. They will not give that up. They are in bed with the federal government and the provincial government, which is hell-bent. You take the Jesuits, you could do your own research, Google it, do your homework in regards to the most feared group in all the world, the Jesuits. Kings and queens, emperors, prime ministers, presidents, they're afraid of them. Look at the Roman Catholic Church. No disrespect intended for all those people who are listening. But the force that is behind it, that is controlling. Same with our church here on the reserve, what we call the Anglican Church or the Church of England. In the United States they call it Episcopalian. When Pope Francis came to the United States, you take a guy by the name of Kenneth Copeland, along with an Anglican minister praising Pope Francis, and it is disturbing, to say the least. And what Pope Francis has met with Obama, and Obama is getting hated each and every day because the American people know that he's a dictator. He's introducing law that gets rid of the American people. It is happening all over the world, dear panel, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the midst of this. And the elders say, and I'm sure you probably heard this, it's going to get worse. Until you get prepared yourself on a spiritual level by connecting to the Creator. Now, I recommend that each one of you go to YouTube and go to Leonard Horowitz, speaks about 528 hertz healing frequency in Vancouver, Washington in 2008, and listen to his message. The bottom line is this, that the scientist is revisiting our ancient stories, the stories that you heard when you were growing up. We figure it's just a story. Even that story that Two Dog was talking about regarding the raven and the rooster and the hawk. Paying attention to things that are happening on Earth by using your level of observation to find out that nature itself has its own code to protect itself. Dear panel, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, creation has not destroyed the Creator's law. It is human beings like ourselves that have done that. And we come to that realization that I was once upon a time with them. I'm not ashamed, but I know that I was there, but I know the difference now. It was a teaching time to be able to find out exactly what they were up to. Coming to the point in time that our elders tell us, like Barbara talked about, into the fifth world. We are entering into that light that Sydney talked about, the age of Aquarius. We are spiritual beings of light to be able to carry out the Creator's instructions in unconditional love. As we increase our forces in unity, don't you think for a moment that the Creator, the intelligent designer, has already been planning this out at the beginning of time? Yes, the answer is at the affirmative. Yes, he did. I know that I cannot do anything on my human level. It is just like trying to attack Goliath. You, my humanness, cannot explain, but a power far greater that David knew defeated Goliath. With that very knowledge of our heart of hearts, by changing our mind and living according to the instructions that the Creator has given us in unconditional love. And when you go into that very center, when you begin to sing and dance, there is that sound and that vibration and frequency that you are connected to the greatest force that the universe has ever known. This is what we are coming to. And it is an exciting time to be alive because we have the opportunity to stand up for truth. In its very essence of the very topic, which reminds me of Idle No More. Each one of you beautiful people, Tracy, Barbara, Sydney, and Two Dog, participating in these radio programs, sticking their neck out for truth, so that they could remind us to wake up and to point to your heart and say, behold, the kingdom of God is within you. the answer lies. Anything you'd like to add to that, Tracy?
Thank you so much, Gerald. That was perfect. Once again, everything everyone said today is just hitting the nail right on the head. I know it'll seem unrelated, but we have baboons in the Toronto Zoo. They are normally peaceful animals, but the matriarch just died, and now they're fighting for control. People, when they're caged, do the exact same thing. Animals change, people change. People all over the world, all of our brothers and sisters are becoming more and more violent and reactive. We're reacting rather than thinking. Not you guys, we're pretty chill, but in general. This is what happens when people live so far away from their source. As Sydney was saying, the reactions and how people are acting like zombies and kind of corralling together and walking around with there's that look on their face that they're hardly even there, and they would almost need an electric prod to wake them up. And like you said, frequency, Gerald, majority of us not only don't know what our original language is, we've never heard it, and there's no way we could speak that again. We are in the gray area. It's why the grays are talked about so much right now. It's not aliens per se. It's the alien idea of us being so far away from ourselves. But as we were saying in the room, and as every people on this planet have told us, knowing is half the battle. I'm not saying you have to learn another language. I'm saying knowing that this English, which is Demo Desmond, as Gerald was saying, absolutely wrong. You'll find there's a direct path of loss all the way through this planet. First comes with the writing in kind of hieroglyphs. First, if anything, we scroll. But before that, we don't need that. We don't. We do not need to write down. We speak it. There are emotions behind it, because you can't write down a feeling. I could say to you in English, oh, that's bad. And I'm saying it's not good. Or I could say, oh, it's bad. I like it. So awful, it's dirty. And that would be good. You cannot get the meaning of a language with it written down. It's why there's always a high language and a low language. One is usually right to left, the other is left to right. One is for the king and the law. The law actually is a tone, as Gerald was saying. It's la on your piano. Find that tone. But it's the rules, it's the edicts, it's the bulls. And then you have the laws of the priests, which is about who and when you do the rituals. The first thing usually written down are spells, incantations, when to worship this and at what time and how to do it. This is the polarity we're fighting right now, because everything here is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has a pair of opposites. Like and unlike are actually the very same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree only. Extremes always meet. All truths are half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. This is an old thing, but it is a right thing. We've always known this. We've always known this. Even though we try to say such things, everything is and isn't at the exact same time. All truths are but half-truths. Every truth is half false. There are two sides to everything. There is a reverse side to every shield, and on and on and on. We know that hot and cold are both temperatures, and what's hot to me may still be cold to you. They're the same thing. It's the master and the slave. They are the same beings. They're the same people. Just one has a degree at this point. So what we are is not what we've been shown. And I think we're realizing this. What we need to be is not the right side or the left side. This is the choice between a priest and religion, or a king, or some sort of, enforcer rule. Those are the two hemispheres of our brain. We need to be the bridge between. You know what I mean? We need to be the third thing. Not choose these sides. These sides, we can never learn their proper words. We can't. Because we speak with tone. You know, especially people who've listened to me for a long time, you don't even need English as a first language to feel what I'm saying. You feel it. You know it. My voice carries a lot of emotion still, which is a blessing considering how dead most people feel to me right now. They do. They feel without... It's not even empathy. That's just even a touch of it. It's like they have nothing left. So many of us. So they're living in the gray. That's what I mean, the gray. We, passionate people, realize that we do not have to mutilate a tree and make paper to be right. We know what's right. We are born with this knowledge. We come in through the portal of our mother from the mothership. That's the alien ship. We come in the same way as every being has always come in, through the darkness, through our mother. There is darkness and there is darkness. The darkness which we fight, which we're being presented, which just happened, the Black Friday. This is a profanity of what we know is true. And I think we're above this. And they can't fool us anymore. I think that's the coolest thing. They can't fool us anymore. If I had to put up that little piece, which, I'm a smart ass, I realize that. I put up a little piece that from now on, we can go through every false flag and just fill in the blanks. There was a time, maybe a couple months ago, where everyone would have been mad at me for putting that up. This time, I had people laughing, going, "Oh my God, Tracy, you hit it." And we know who we are. And we know that they will always make us pick a side. That's why they make us vote, guys. That's why they make us vote. Where voting used to be even, and I don't think that started as long ago as they say, everyone had to agree or it was done again. Now they want you to pick a side, left or right, demon versus reptile. We are not these people. We will never be. And as long as they can keep making us choose, we will always lose, because they know what their words mean. We can never know what that means. We can't. We can't win that way. So, thank you very much, Gerald. I've enjoyed today so much. You all rock so hard.
Well, thank you so much for that endorsement of what you said. And
even though you have a big round head.
Yes, indeed. So, Tracy, you mentioned something about politics, policy, police action. In order for us to understand that, to be politically left or right. Socialism versus free enterprise, capitalism. Communism versus capitalism. Nazism through Hitler. United States people have been known to finance Hitler into power. Why? Because of the Hegelian dialectic. They're going to supply with both sides, whether you're politically left or politically right, because people need money in order to carry out their program and their agenda. The money is controlled by the international bankers. And the international bankers are the strings are being pulled on them. They're put there for a very specific reason based on their agenda. You also mentioned about the left and brain hemisphere by building a bridge. Look at the left and brain hemisphere. Right in the middle, there's a dividing, what they call supercolossum. Did we understand or study the powers of the mind in the brain? The capacity that we have as spiritual beings connected to the Creator to program our mind on spiritual matters, because what we are talking about is spiritually discerned. The people who are well educated will definitely have their antithesis because of the Big Bang Theory, the solar system, the theory of evolution, nihilism, secular humanism, separating yourself from the Creator, and developing that philosophy that Aleister Crowley wrote, do what thou wilt. Hedonism means to go and satisfy your fleshly desires. Narcissism, the lover of the self. And so on and so forth. We can just list them. We all know that we're confronted with these issues, the choices that we must make. And let me repeat it. The only choice that we have is to walk in light, in the sound, the vibration, and the frequency, in order to perpetuate life in immortality and in eternity. There's that choice. But the one aspect that their elders tell us, I could ask the elder a question. He will not answer it because of a certain protocol that we as indigenous people must follow. And you all know in our part of the country, Sydney knows this, the protocol is the giving of tobacco.
Oh.
Now look at very closely in the 7 colors of the rainbow. The middle color is green. The other ones at the top is violet or purple, indigo, and blue. Then we have green, which is the heart. We have our solar plexus, our navel chakra, and our root chakra. yellow, orange, and red. Each one of them holds a specific energy level in a sound, vibration, and frequency that Barbara talks about. In order for us to be able to acquire that information from the intelligent designer to go to the center, the one word that elders always remind us is humility, to humble ourselves. What does that mean? That means that we have to die to the world. Everything that's connected to the world is a bunch of illusions. The smoking mirror of illusion, the mirror effect, we're the opposites. When we smash that smoking mirror of illusion, do we come to reality? When we are at that place, and as time goes on in space, matter and energy with the intelligent designer, we will experience those things because of his unconditional love that he has for us. A lot of people call that the grace. Sydney talks about the age of Aquarius, where the Creator is going to pour out his Spirit upon all flesh, whether we like it or not. There's a lot of people that are receiving that now. Dreams and visions on the right side of the brain. The left brain has to do with the letter, symbols, logic, time. By building a bridge in our visions and dreams and bringing that spirituality in this physical world, by bringing the spiritual law and bringing it to the physical law of the divine Mother Earth. But we have parasites, don't we? These parasites operate through the energy of fear. The only way that they can live is draw on our energy that we, as God's children, have. They draw on that. So they feed off of us. To be able to get rid of these parasites in humility, we will have the desired effect when our heart and minds are opened and the universe unfolds. You begin to experience something which is uncanny and very bewildering indeed. We don't have very much time, so Tracy, Barbara, Sydney, and Two Dog, any final thoughts? Starting with Tracy.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here today and say thank you again to everyone. And no, Gerald, you can go as long as you want today. This is my house.
Oh,
thank you.
Right, that sounds good. That sounds really, really good. But, like I said, let's just follow this protocol in regards to what I just said, so that we can go and dig deeper. Are you willing to go to the deep? That's the question that we're asking.
I can swim.
Yes, indeed. In the water. The water that Tracy was talking about. Is it our bodies? How much percent of it is water?
70 to 85. Yep.
Conservative? Oh, maybe I could be liberal and say 80%.
Yep, for sure.
Okay? But the water is the Word. And the Word that is coming from our hearts, we are giving you a drink. Is that analogy sufficient enough to explain exactly what we're talking about, Tracy?
It sure is. You know, it's why in almost every language, and you can see how languages are connected, water is usually ma and mat are very, very close. So it's the mother. It's ma or mo. It's always the mother. We know where we came from. They can't hide it. They can make all kinds of things up, but we know how we got here. That
So
they
in
can't
essence,
change
what
it.
you're talking about, Tracy, is an internal truth that we must come to terms with, and that is the womb.
Yes. The womb.
Amazing, isn't it?
The woman. The wa.
Mat, yes.
Mat. Wad.
Adder.
Vat. Vater. We change our names in very slow ways, but you can always find a connection. Every language, you can hear what they want. All you have to do is listen. You can usually find out certain words. We know what they are.
Yep, indeed. We can... Something inherent within ourselves that is latent, isn't it? It's sleeping. But exactly what you're saying, Tracy, there's something within us that enable us to be able to discern. And isn't that our intuition or our conscience?
Yes.
The very energy that the Creator has blessed us with in order for us to be the watchdog between light and darkness?
Absolutely. You know, and most people can't. It's because, you know, the little dividing spot between the two hemispheres of our brain in that big stitch part, for most people on this planet, that part is dead. It no longer connects. There, we have to go deeper in our brain to see the connection between our right and our left hemisphere. But if that part was connecting again, they couldn't do this to us. It wouldn't work because we would understand each other. That, again, Tower of Babel, where he said we will come down and confuse us. Well, we've been confused, but we're starting to see. We're starting to wade through that water again.
Indeed, you said a word, confuse.
Confuse.
2 words, separate them, con and fuse.
And fuse. Which talks about the lie right there.
There you go.
If something's fused, you should be able to connect, but you can't because it's con. They even put their lie in the word, but it's awesome because you could see in every word and everything they do always also tells you how to get out of it.
Indeed.
If you look hard enough.
So all the ones that are listening, even in the panel, there's a way out, isn't there? Our redemption, so to speak.
Hidden right in front of our eyes, just like the deception is right in front of our eyes.
Yes, to be able to come to that discernment by knowing the difference. Remember the AA prayer? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. But that one word, wisdom, that wisdom can only come from a woman. How uncanny. Incredible. When you read a good book, she says she has 7 pillars. What are those 7 pillars that we're all born with? because we are a product of an intelligent designer. These are the things that these women, Barbara and Tracy, do possess. But these ladies have to come to that realization that they have to go home. Right, Tracy? Barbara?
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah, I just want to, just a little piece here on how we have to understand that words have power and they are frequencies, and we're pretty much ruled by the language of fear, which has hidden meanings that create disharmony, a frequency of disharmony. And our true language is the language of the heart and the song of the mother tongue. It's our original nature, is the voice of nature, sound, story, and song. And if you remember, for many, many years, the coming storms were all given female names. Something to be feared, evil and dark, monstrous, or the, again, words are powerful. It's the frequency that we have to understand. The frequency is what we're talking about, because you can have a high frequency or a low frequency through your thought and your words and your emotions. And this is very crucial to understand that. And speaking of water, for instance, the molecular structure of the water can be changed with words, which are, of course, frequency. And this is something that we have an ability to make a difference with the disharmony and things that are out of balance if we understand Creator's law, which is basically the word. Word is frequency. And so when you use anger or hurtful words or acts of violence or even your emotions, if they're on a low frequency, you're really creating more disharmony. And also, of course, it's opposite when you have an emotion of joy, gratitude. Those are very powerful frequencies. And certainly love and compassion, caring, those are high frequencies. So when you align yourself with a higher frequency, you are empowering yourself to take part in or participate in harmonizing and balancing and repairing and mending the sacred hoop. And also the sacred web that is being deliberately ripped and torn and messed around with. So, and we are all water. Everything has water in it. Even stones have water. Everything consists of water. And so we are either we're aligned with a higher frequency and taking part, participating in harmonizing and balancing everything that we love. Because if you love the Mother Earth, if you love your own children, of course, and the creatures, everything has water. And so we have an opportunity and a gift, a beautiful gift Creator gave to us of a power of how to use words, how to understand the power of word, which, of course, again, are frequencies. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion. Thank you.
Indeed. Indeed. Just to be able to expand on exactly what you're talking about, the ability to build and not to destroy and hurt anybody. This is an essence of exactly the very thing that our purpose here on earth is to become co-creators by listening to the instructions the formula, the recipe. Everything must take its place by taking necessary steps, baby steps. In the beginning, there's the thought. These thoughts come from the intelligent designer when we connect to the Creator. Look at a little child. And I'm sure that you could probably recognize this story and identify it with yourself. When you were just a little boy or girl, and you seen your brothers and sisters or your friends, or an elder or man or woman tying their shoes, and you tried to attempt to do it. You couldn't. Some children could at the first crack, yes, when they tried it. But with practice, and how many times have we did it in order to accomplish just tying a knot on your shoes? I remember when I did that, how proud I felt. I felt good because of those very factors that we are talking about here, that Barbara is alluding to. By realizing that every child, before they enter the school in the indoctrination, did you know that when we were in that stage of development, the whole creation was in front of us to investigate in its grandeur, to look, to hear, to smell, to taste, to feel, identifying with yourself. It felt good, just being a little child, investigating the very vestures of creation in your own unique way. How remarkable that is, to be able to accomplish this. So, but anyway, as time went on, how people try to destroy our dream, our hopes, and our aspirations and our dreams. Each one of you could tell your own story regarding that, and how you want to return to that place where you could build a business, a house, a teepee, whatever. To have the ability to dream. This is what we're trying to remind people on this radio program. It's there. The momentum is gaining force, and there's a lot of people that are waking up, and they're saying no to this dark and evil cabal. So what do you think, Sydney?
Cool. Totally awesome. Go ahead.
Tell us what's on your mind and in your heart, my friend.
My mind's empty. It's totally empty. I'm trying to fill it with new stuff. And you keep filling it with... No, this recently, within the last few weeks, there's a movement, kind of like a new awareness.
Awakening.
Yeah. Something's happening, and trying to make heads or tails of it. I don't know. it sounds pretty good. People are coming together, sharing, and people are pretty more aware. But the sad part that I can't, for the love of me, I just can't see why there's people here dropping like flies all over, friends, relatives. At the same time, it's like cleansing happening, or the people that have been sick are going. The people that have been having unhealthy issues are going. It's like, and a lot of people say there's something coming that the Creator don't want them to see. They're not healthy enough to see it. A time that's coming that they can't see it. They don't want to be allowed to see. So, I don't know where that came from, but I know that we're preparing. We're preparing spiritually, like everybody's talking about spirituality, knowing your DNA, 666, the bloodline, knowing who you are. You know how to deal with things coming. You know how to face things. You know what's right and wrong. So with that, it's always been a pleasure to share and learn from you guys. Thank you very much, Gerald. Hi.
But that's precisely exact what I'm alluding to, is to be able to take one step at a time, be sovereign, not being controlled by anybody else, but developing your own mind, your heart, and your very being, to the point that you share every knowledge that you have acquired, to be able to tell other people exactly what has happened. Because you see, you're talking about, that's exactly what's happening on our reserve. People are coming home in a pine box. Yes, definitely there's an imbalance. They are too weak to fight the dark and evil forces, so they're overcome by them. How to rectify that? Exactly what we've been talking about, to be able to have that sound, vibration, and frequency by increasing that unconditional love. And it becomes our duty and responsibility to do it. Oh yeah, there's times that we don't feel like doing it because of everything is, it's a spiritual attack. We all know that we all get attacked each and every day. In other words, I invite it. I invite it to the point where I can go to the intelligent designer, to the source, and I can get the necessary things in order to rectify the problem and find my redemption, my remedy. That information is there for the taking. To be able to bring this message home so that every man, woman, and child that is listening to this will be able to grasp it. Look what Two Dog is doing, becoming a chief. And talk about those things, Two Dog, if you may. So go ahead, sir.
Gerald, I can go like this. With my nation right now, I didn't even run for the office, to be honest. It was voted on by the people, but I wasn't in the hat, so to speak. So now I'm doing that job as the people wished, but it goes to this. As a leader, I am to be a spokesman for the people, And if we have any trouble, I go to my clan mothers, as I'm supposed to do as a leader. But the fact of the matter is I'm holding to what vision I did have. And it's time to give the beads of peace to all the nations and try to stand with each other within this time, Gerald.
Indeed.
I didn't even run for the office. My name was put in a hat. There you go.
So they humbled you, didn't they?
I'm very humble with what they're asking, and I'm honored, but I'm very humbly honored, Gerald.
So in other words, you are carrying the burdens of the people on your shoulders, and it comes to a point you have to come to that realization is, what do I do? And naturally in your ceremonies, you ask the Creator.
Yes.
And there's the answer. But the one greatest quality that we seem to have as indigenous people is listening.
Yeah.
We listen, don't we not? To the voices of the people. We hear their cries, their sorrow. We feel it. We feel the energy. And because you are put in that position and they depend on you, do you know that you're limited, right?
Yes.
Go to the source.
Gerald, let me go a little further with this. Back in the summer, a little bit in the summer, close to autumn, my nation had a visit, and this visit was a dignitary from the Maori from New Zealand, and she came here, and we spoke very well, and they gifted me the Maori flag to fly with mine, and it's doing that as we speak. It's a common understanding that, tribally, we're all in the same canoe if you wish. And what we're trying to say is, what hurts the Maori hurts us. What hurts the Cree hurts us. What hurts the Mohawk hurts us. We need to stand together, indigenous people all over the world, or people in general now, because as Russell Means once said, especially in America, welcome to the reservation no matter where you live.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Exactly the point. So here we're identifying certain things that are hitting home to us, and we hear these words. Words being spoken from the heart and the mind. Upon you hearing this, of you, panel, and your listeners, is there's a resonance. Do we not, when we're talking, connect to the source where everything is the law of one? What do you think, Tracy? Barbara? Hello?
Hi, I'm sorry, I was...
Sorry, guys, I was muted. Go ahead, Barb.
Well, I kind of got a little bit of what you were saying about the law of one, and to me, looking into this and trying to understand on a deeper level about the law of one, or Creator's law of one, because I believe it is the Creator's law of one. To me, there is only one Creator. And I do refer to that as mother, father, because I believe that there's the sacred feminine, sacred masculine in all of creation. And that the Creator's law of one means that we are one. Not only are we one, one family, all of us, one family, but that we are one with our Creator. And by being meaning of one, we are all related, or metakrieo yasin, which means we are all related, meaning that that's not just us people, just the two-legged people. It means with everything. We are all related to all of creation. That means all of the creatures, to the waters, to everything in existence, everything that was created. Because again, I want to refer to energy or frequency, how we live and how we function in relationship, and how much we have the ability to harmonize our experience here at this time on the earth, and how to help and support all of creation through our frequency and through our relationship. When you have a relationship, you are responsible, you take responsibility, you are a caretaker, or you're conscious, you're in relationship, and hopefully we are in positive relationship. That is what I feel is very important today. But as being one, or the law of one, I think it just emphasizes how we are deeply and profoundly connected to each other and with all of creation, so that everything that is happening, everything that we create and that others create, is experienced by the whole. So that's how I look at that. Thank you.
Well, you said something very important. The word welcome. We are all invited. Invited to what? Into the family of creation. Developing relationships so that both of us and all of us could come in harmony, in balance. By producing and becoming co-creators in our uniqueness, in building something that comes from Barbara Threecrow or Tracy Kennedy or Two Dog or Sydney Chief, so that we can listen to each other in our excitement, by building and creating this fifth world through the law of one. What an exciting time. So now that we have run out of time, because dinner is waiting for me, any final thoughts? That I'm going to start with you, Tracy, Barbara?
Thank you so much again.
Go ahead,
Gerald. It's been wonderful. I did have a question via Skype. When I was saying how water and mother is related in most languages, they didn't get the idea of it in English. Okay, so water is wa. Turn that upside down, the W, it becomes an M. It's ma. That's what I meant. Usually they're not clever when they switch the language around, but it all contains the same thing. So that's what I meant. If we start looking at what we're saying and how words are used, you will find that it's really easy to unlock this code. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful dinner, Gerald.
Thank you. So in order for that person that's asking the question, I will use my mother tongue, the Cree language, and I'm going to use the word and say this and explain it. My word. Let me repeat again. My word. How do I say my word in Cree? It is Nipik Squewin. Right, Sydney?
What?
My word in Cree is Nipik Squewin. Right? I'm going to translate Nipik Squewin. Nipik means water. Isquewin means being a woman. So my word comes from a woman that's contained in water. Look at the whales. The most wonderful conductor we have is water. And the whales has given us that answer, hasn't it? They can communicate 1,000 miles away from South America. They could send their sounds to other whales in South Africa. The properties of water is incredible. And prayer, when you pray over the water, you change the construction of it and the structure of it. That's truly, truly amazing. You can watch that video on YouTube about that Japanese doctor that has experiments on water. Just to give you a good example of our potential that we have. To be able to come to that realization, that means it's a free gift to all of us. So go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you, everyone. As always, I really enjoy being on, talking with all of you, and always more to learn. I'm grateful to be able to share, and I feel very positive and always feel very strong, have a very strong faith in humanity. I know we're struggling. I know a lot of people are struggling. But what we've all said here today is very important, and I hope that people will take some of what we've shared and reflect upon it. And what we're talking about is the power that we do have, that we're not helpless, that we're not powerless, and that it is not hopeless. It's what they want us to think. And so thinking is a frequency, again. We can't get away from it. That's what we are. We are energy. We speak, it is a frequency. We feel, it is a frequency. We have emotion, it is a frequency. So we cannot get away from it, because that's how the Creator made us. And it's very important and significant to understand why we were given that, and how we can make a difference with understanding. Thank you. Ilamayam. Doksha.
Thank you, Tracy and Barbara, for those wonderful words indeed. So, Sydney and Blue Dog, you'll be the last, and I want you to say a prayer after we end the show.
Oh.
So go ahead, Sydney.
Oh, I thought I already said my goodbyes. Thank you. It's always been a pleasure to be on the show. But I'll repeat it. Yeah, it's always been nice, because I've learned lots from the women, grandmothers, and the elders. And the studies I've learned from my journey. Thank you very much for the inspiration. Till next week. Bye.
Indeed. Go ahead. Thank you so much for that, Sydney. So go ahead, Stu Dog. Any final thoughts and feelings, and could you lead us out of prayer? Please?
Definitely. I'll do it like this, Gerald. Get your money to Master of Life, look down upon us today, that we have shared our hearts, our minds, our spirit. Grandfather, share this word. Give this life to others. Let us walk with one mind, one heart, one spirit. Let us be knowledgeable that every step we take on our mother is a constant. Every second, talk with you. Grandfather, we are thankful that we are alive today to do these things and to send this energy out, and that it can go to all peoples around the world, black, white, yellow, red, and that we have only one thing with all this, and that is love for all people. For we are related. There is no difference. We all are the human being, no matter what color we are, and we know this. Grandfather, I also ask for one thing, and that in my language would be called skana, peace. Grandfather, may we all have this peace. Aho, hi, hi.
What a wonderful time it is to be able to spend time talking amongst each other with friends and relatives. To come to that realization that we all connected to the source, the loving creator, and he has enabled us to become a co-creator. To be able also to develop our minds, our spirits, our bodies and emotions, to connect to the law of one. To build our communities, common unity, by understanding that everybody is equal before the law, nobody above or below. To be able to show our gifts and talents for the betterment of humanity is what we will strive for each and every day, in every wakened moment, and even in dream time, to be able to travel in dream time, the spirit world, by traveling to different dimensions. To have all infinity and eternity opened up to you, to each and every one of us, to be able to possess that very gift that is needed. That's that unconditional love of a loving creator. To be able to participate, to become the solution instead of the problem, a statistic. And as we endeavor in all perseverance, enduring in patience, as we strive to come together for such a time as this, so that we can look at each other without shame. We are truly brothers and sisters. It is a wonderful place to be able to increase. Let me say it this way: where we decrease and the Creator increases. To be able to come to that understanding and humility that we can go to a loving Creator and ask without any restriction about your heart's desire for happiness. To be able to eat proper food, to dress, All those things that the loving Creator will bless us with. And all we have to do is grab onto it and say, yes. Yes, indeed. I'm going to grab onto it. And in time, I have never seen Two Dog personally or Barbara. I did meet Tracy and Sydney. But to come to a time where we can experience friendship through our struggles by sharing each other and moving forward. So may the Creator bless you, your family, your people in the land, wherever you may be on Mother Earth. Till next week, I bid each one of you a pleasant farewell. Hi, hi.
Hi, hi.
Hi, hi.